Sakura, the best medical ninja and strongest kunoichi, versus Itachi Uchiha, clan wife specialist and Sasuke's older brother. These characters are complete opposites in how the fanbase views them, with Sakura being one of the most hated characters in the Naruto series and often viewed as very weak and useless, while Itachi is loved by every person who watched or read Naruto and is considered one of the strongest non-six-pass characters who can win any fight he partakes in. In this video, I'll be throwing these two in a hypothetical what-if fight to the death and covering their strength, abilities, feats, and statements to determine a winner. So if you enjoy this type of content and would like to see more Naruto and Boruto videos, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe. Without wasting any more time, let's get into it. To get something out of the way instantly if it's not clear enough by the thumbnail, I'm talking about adult Sakura from the Boruto era and sick Itachi from his fight against Sasuke. So this means Itachi is near full blind, has poor stamina, and well past his prime. Now for some rules going into this. Itachi obviously doesn't have Shisui's eye, because why would that be allowed in a hypothetical 1v1 situation? It's not his power he earned or was born with, and it's set to come out at the sight of Itachi's eye with the command of protecting the leaf. I'm going to be using manga canon and a few statements from the data books and some novel feats to scale and give a more compelling argument. There are a few things from the novel I don't want to use, like the Kaido fight, and I'm really not a fan of Shin, but I might mention certain things from their fight to further push or add more context to an existing point I make. Since Itachi is the more popular character in the series and has been talked about a billion times on YouTube, I won't go into depth about his abilities, as everyone should know them by now, but from feats alone, since I'm using sick Itachi, it's fair to take into account the things he's done leading up to this point from when he was weaker, like basically defeating Orochimaru during the flashback in chapter 345, but what shouldn't be used to scale Itachi up higher is feats from a stronger version of himself, like when he was in Edo fighting Sage Kabuto alongside early EMS Sasuke. Moving on to adult Sakura is where things get crazy. I'll leave timestamps below so you can skip through this part, but if you're gonna leave a comment screaming about Sakura can't do this, why is she resistant to this, why do you think this, I recommend you watch this section of the video because it'll most likely be answered here. Anyway, let's start with something simple. So this is base War Arc Sakura. She's not as strong as the Kaguya fight Sakura. That Kaguya fight Sakura is not as strong as adult Boruto era Sakura. This means Sakura's feats and statements from the Kaguya fight and War Arc can be noted and taken into consideration when talking about a stronger version of herself. For example, base War Arc Sakura is stated to be caught up to KCM1 Naruto and EMS Sasuke, then adult Boruto era Sakura, who's insanely stronger than she was in the War Arc, should be at the very minimum above KCM1 and EMS Sasuke. This is obviously just a lowball example as she is far beyond that level, but you get the point. Same way as trying to downplay adult Sakura by using anti-feats from a weaker version of herself. For example, saying she was useless during part 1 or needed help to defeat Sasori has no relevance in this fight, as that's basically a completely different character by this point in the series, and has gotten much stronger. I didn't think I would need to explain all that, but from the comments I received, most people didn't understand the simple logic behind it. I'll get the most controversial feat Sakura has out of the way now and debunk the main criticisms about it that I kept getting in the comments. But Sakura was able to damage Kaguya. No matter what you want to say about it, Sakura folded Kaguya and there's nothing to be said that can deny the fact. To quickly explain the situation, Naruto and Sasuke are on either side of Kaguya here, obviously going as fast as they can, and all they need to do is touch her. And while their hands are just about to touch Kaguya, she's able to fly upwards and completely avoid the two of them, until Sakura comes from above jumping or falling from Kakashi Susanoo and punches her in the back of the head, sending her downwards, completely folding Kaguya. Saying she got folded isn't an over-exaggeration here either, since Naruto and Sasuke were touching the back of Kaguya's shoulder to seal her away. This punch did hurt Kaguya since her horn literally snapped off and she started bleeding from the front of her cheek, which left a mark. Do you know how hard you have to hit for that to happen? So the main criticism I kept seeing was that Kaguya was off guard and didn't notice Sakura, so I'll give my reasonings as to why that's not true. Firstly, she has a text box with the exclamation point, meaning she took note and notices Sakura. Kaguya has activated Byakugan, which gives her 359 degree vision, and the small blind spot it does have is nowhere near large enough to fit a person, as shown back in part 1 of Naruto when Kidomaru was fighting Neji and he had to very precisely maneuver an arrow through Neji's blind spot, which is visually shown, and Kaguya has passive sensory perception with her 6-pass senjutsu, which is stated by the data book that it is in no way inferior to Naruto's Sage Mode sensory, where you can sense across like the whole continent at once. All of this is more than enough to say that Kaguya was not off guard and noticed Sakura before she got hit. Sakura's speed and reaction time feats during the War Arc should not be slept on either. To start off, she was able to react to a truth-seeking rod fired by Jubi Madara. Granted, Obito did react faster, but Kishimoto went out of his way to draw the exclamation point, signifying there was some sort of reaction from Sakura. Whether she was able to fully dodge and move out of the way is up for debate, since we won't ever know. I just thought that it should be noted. Then there's the Kaguya arm attack she dodged, which again is pretty nuts if you think about it. At this point, Naruto and Sasuke are both moving insanely fast, Like base Sage 6 past Naruto freshly after getting the abilities Blitzed, One Eye, Jubi, Madara, and now take that speed and then add the KCM2 boost on top of it. That Naruto called the attack super fast when warning Sasuke about it. So Sakura reacting to that and dodging it is no little feat. She was going to get hit by it if Kakashi didn't save her, but that's not the point. The point is she was able to react and dodge an attack Sage 6 past Naruto felt the need to warn Sasuke about, again calling it super fast. I would like to point out everything I said so far has been done without the use of her strength of 100 seal, and when she releases it, she's granted a massive amount of chakra that's been stored up, allowing her to enhance all of her physical abilities, as well as access the creation rebirth technique, which is basically regeneration, with Tsunade saying when she's using it, she's pretty much immortal. Sakura has so much chakra stored up by the time of the Kaguya fight, it's directly said she has more chakra than a clone from Sage 6 past Naruto, which is insane considering we've seen what these clones of Naruto can do. And since the chakra directly affects all physical aspects of one, we can all agree that she's very powerful. There's much more I can get into about War Arc Sakura and Kaguya fight Sakura's abilities, but for the sake of the video, I'll hold off as it's going to be long enough. Then we go to the Boruto era where everyone, including Sakura, has gotten some sort of amp from the time skip, and this is made very apparent when Momoshiki and Kinshiki pull up and the 5 Kaguya are just boxing these people who are at least Kaguya's level and are described as potentially greater threats than Kaguya. And then there's Shikamaru, who with Shadow Possession completely locks down Kinshiki mid-attack and halts Momoshiki until he absorbs it, and in Gaara's light novel, Sakura is directly stated to be equal to Gaara in taijutsu. Whether you like it or not or choose to believe it to be the truth, with Boruto scaling, Sakura is just insanely strong and a very competent shinobi, with Kishimoto going out of his way to heavily imply with multiple different statements in data books that she's at least catching up to Naruto and Sasuke, and even having Sakura herself during the war arc saying she's caught up to them. Then there's Itachi, who when he was in Edo, which made him stronger since he didn't have stamina issues, he wasn't near blind, he could spam MS abilities, and use his final form Susanoo as long as he wanted, stated by the data books that EMS Sasuke was his equal, meaning EMS Sasuke is stronger than sick Itachi, and that's not a hot take at all, that's a very common consensus within the community. So how can someone who was stated by the data books be weaker than EMS Sasuke possibly have the chance to defeat someone who by the Boruto era is compared to people fighting Kaguya level threats? I guess I can get into specific abilities and how Sakura could counter some of them, though personally I think she just blitzes Itachi off rip, but we'll start with Itachi's Sharingan or Finger Genjutsu. Keep in mind I'm not talking about Tsukiyomi here, I'll get to that later. So there's 2 reasons I'll say she can counter this, one of which being in the light novel for the last, Naruto, Shikamaru, Sai, Hinata, and Sakura were all caught in a Genjutsu from Toneri Otsutsuki, and Sakura was the only one to be able to break out of it on her own, with Shikamaru even going as far as saying, "Thank goodness Sakura, who's resistant to Genjutsu, is with us." Now, you can argue that Toneri's Genjutsu might not be as strong as Itachi's standard Genjutsu, but when Naruto from the last wasn't able to break out of it, and it was a Genjutsu from a literal Otsutsuki, I find it difficult to say Sakura can't break out of Itachi's Finger or Sharingan Genjutsu. But if you don't accept that answer and want to completely discredit the feat, she's also able to summon Katsuyu, who can stick inside of her clothing or just hold on to her in any basic way, and pump chakra into Sakura to break the Genjutsu, which is all that's needed to break it. For Tsukiyomi, I'll just say Sakura isn't going to be dumb enough to look Itachi, a Sharingan user and someone known for using Genjutsu, in the eyes. Although, if I want to piss more people off, I can go into the Akatsuki novel and use its weakness, saying Sakura can break out of it and use her 100 healings and Katsuyu to heal the mental damage, but I'll just stick with she isn't going to look him in the eyes. Amaterasu has shown and stated to kind of have a charge up time where you need to focus chakra through your eyes, and past 5 meters out from Itachi's eye, Amaterasu is an instant, meaning it has a travel time, and since we see Sakura being able to react to faster attacks, she's simply not getting tagged by Amaterasu close range. And if Sakura is close enough to be within the 5 meters of Itachi, he's already done for, as I think we could all agree if Sakura lands one punch on Itachi, he just dies. I'd be willing to go as far as saying even if he has Susanoo up and doesn't block with the Yotamir, he's just dying through the Susanoo. On the topic of the Yotamir, it isn't omnidirectional, meaning it can't wrap around the Susanoo, but it can expand in size to cover almost the full front of it, and since it's only shown to appear when Itachi goes to the last stage of his Susanoo, we have reason to believe he can only use it with the final stage. The issue with that is, as soon as Itachi goes to the final stage of the Susanoo, he instantly goes blind. So even if he doesn't use any MS abilities and go straight to full armor Susanoo with the Yotamir and Totsuka blade, he's going to quickly lose vision. And trying to say that he can beat adult Sakura with no Sharingan, never mind no eyes at all, is very disingenuous. Not to mention he is basically dead, out of chakra, and can barely walk after using the Susanoo for a very short while, so it's not like he's gonna last long at all after going blind. I unironically think if he hits Sakura with an Amaterasu the same time as he goes blind, she can hide in Katsuyu and out heal longer than Itachi can just live. The Totsuka blade is weird because without going to Itachi's full armor Susanoo, he was able to use it as a sword, but the gourd was never shown, so I take it that he can't use it to seal people at any stage other than fully armored. It's also never been shown to pierce a moving target because Orochimaru literally laughed at it and didn't even try to dodge it, and Nagato had a smokescreen covering his field of vision, so it didn't really blitz them in my opinion. And with them being the only 2 times we've ever seen it used, the speed of it doesn't convince me that it could tag a released Byakugo Seal Sakura that can focus chakra in her feet and legs to greatly enhance her speed. And since over 10 years has passed since the end of Shippuden to Boruto, it's very safe to assume she has a lot more chakra stored up in there for her to use and do so. I think I've covered mostly everything I need to here. There might be a few things I missed, so I apologize for that. So to sum up what I said a final time, with the amps and chakra control Sakura has and has received, I strongly believe she can straight up one-shot Itachi before he can manifest the full armor Susanoo and block with the Yotamir. And in the case she can't do that for some reason, Itachi doesn't have the stamina to keep up with someone who scales well above him and has greater feats and statements about them than he has. If you don't like to hear from me, there's a plethora of larger and more knowledgeable and well-known creators that will agree with adult Sakura being able to beat Itachi. So you can save your "this is why you only have that many subscribers" comments. If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you and hopefully you were able to watch this with an open mind and not instantly head to the comments disregarding everything I said. If you want to see more Naruto and Boruto content, I'd appreciate if you would subscribe. Have a good day.